Sean Candelas, you won the giveaway from last week, Comic Fam. We got a special video for you today. Buckle up. Funny books, expensive paper. The comic books defining this generation of collectors. Every week for 1 year, we've been monitoring them, and this is the list where we rank them based off of how often they've shown up on the list and the record breakers that they produce. Comic Fam, this is the hottest comic books in the collector's market in 2021. With Jem from Jem and Collectibles, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. How you doing, Tom? This is huge. This is a big video because we've been covering this for 52 weeks, which means that there were 52 videos to go through to pick the hottest of the hot, the biggest books of 2021.
You are not going to believe what lands at number 1. Hit the like, slap the subscribe, stay tuned to the end because we do have a giveaway on deck. Butch demands it. And let's chat about number 10 on the list. Amazing Fantasy issue number 15, the first appearance of Spider-Man in comic books.
Out of 52 weeks, AF-15 made it on 8 times, so pretty impressive, and we know it had a monster record-breaking sale, which is one of the reasons why we saw gains in all the lower grades.
The 9.6 record was set back in 2011, selling for $1.1 million. Then in September this past year, comic history was made with a 9.6 coming to market selling for the most in comic history, $3.6 million. That is an increase of 227%, and the trickle-down effect was real.
That's right, the trickle-down effect goes all the way to the bottom, starting at a CGC 1.0. It was $15,600 in April of 2021, and then its December 17th sale landed at 86% higher, selling for $29,000.
The 6.0 had a $57,000 average across 3 sales in 2020. This past year, 2 sale average selling for $90,000. That's an increase of 58%.
The CGC 8.5 was going for $155,350 back in 2017, and its recent sale put it up 355%, selling for $707,250.
The 9.4 prior record was $795,000 set in March 2020. After that comic history was made, this book blew up, 51% increase, selling for $1.2 million. We could not have come to the mic with as much accuracy, precision, and consistency without Key Collector Comics. Utilize code TOM101 to unlock a free 2-week subscription. Support the show. Get access to the Hot 10 list every single week. And all the other data that we're not reporting on these issues that made our list, it's substantial, and you need to keep up on the market. Next at the list at number 9, Ultimate Fallout number 4, the first appearance of Miles Morales.
From one Spider-Man to the other, I've been considering picking up the A cover of Ultimate Fallout 4 and a 9.8 as well. Putting my money where my mouth is, I feel like when Miles gets introduced into the MCU, we're going to see more gains.
This book landed on our Hot 10 9 different times in 2021, and we're going to talk about the cover A first, which, by the way, has 3,000 copies currently listed on the CGC census in 9.8 alone. First, we have a 9.2, selling on average in 2020 for $250. This past year, selling on average for $575.
9.4s on an average were selling for $300 back in 2020 until last year, where they're averaging $675.
The 9.6 average in 2020 was $375. In 2021, that book is going for $900. Then we have the 9.8. 2020 average was $875. This book is now hitting $2,500 on average consistently. And we're not stopping there because we have to talk about that 1 in 25, Dajevik.
There's only 160 copies of that book in a CGC 9.8. At the end of 2020, CGC 9.6s were going for $3,000. At the end of 2021, now they're selling for $10,000.
9.8s at the end of 2020 were going for $9,000. One even hit $8,250. The most recent 9.8 sales landed at $28,800 and a high of $30,900. Hot damn, Comic Fam.
But besides that variant, there's also a newsstand.
That's right. This thing is a ghost, and I expected to see more of these come to market over this last year, but proving to everybody that these are virtually non-existent in high grade. The most recent newsstand in May 2021 was a 9.2. Prior record was set back in 2020 for $3,500. This past year, selling for $7,000.
Back in June of 2020, the CGC 9.8 newsstand sold for $8,100. Then in 2021, there have been private transactions that Key Collector was only able to verify one of the two, but the verified $25,000 sale and then a sale for $60,000.
60 grand, although unverifiable, doesn't seem outlandish for how scarce this comic book truly is. Next at the list at number 8, I would put Ultimate Fallout and this comic book, TMNT #1, the first print, as the start of the collecting craze that changed the industry forever.
Yeah, this was one of those books that wouldn't get off the list. It made the list 9 times in 2021, and it just had so many crazy record-breaking sales.
The 8.5 had an average price of $11,250 back in 2020. Well, in 2021, the average price was $25K.
The average 9.0 in 2020 was going for $15,000. Flash forward to 2021, averaging $29,000.
The 9.4 had a $26,000 average in 2020, now selling for $46,500.
Then we got the 9.6 from 2018 to 2020, averaging $19,000, now averaging $72,000.
There are 36 copies of TMNT #1, the first print, graded at 9.8 on the CGC census. The 2019 average for a 9.8 was $90,000, and we had 2 recorded public sales. We had first a $245,000 sale and a $230,000 sale.
Even though this book wouldn't get off our list, the 2021 recorded sales only make up 4% of the census.
That's right. The owners of these books are not bringing these copies to market, regardless of how many records are being shattered. Hit the like, slap the subscribe. Let's talk about number 7 on the list. Mutant Madness was in full gear this last year, and we have Giant Size X-Men #1 to talk about.
Giant Size X-Men 1 landed on the Hot 10 list 10 times last year, and for good reason. We know mutants are coming, but there is so much key worthiness to this book rather than just the first appearances.
Now, this is an interesting one because Giant Size had 2 very big outlier sales. One 9.8 that hit $60,000 and another that hit $72,000. Now, Jem, we chatted about this on the mic a few times. What are some reasons we suspect those books went for a bit more money than other 9.8s this last year?
Yeah, when you're spending this type of money, there's a lot to account for. Not all 9.8s are created equally, so collectors are going to go for the ones that have the best centering, the sharpest corners, and the most vibrant colors. You also have to consider the auction house on where it was sold.
The Comic Link auction house, for example, doesn't keep their sales publicly available after the auctions end. So some of these sales seem like outliers, but they happen nonetheless. And let's demonstrate just how much this comic book is on fire, comparing it to 2020 averages as well as 90-day averages.
Let's start by looking at the CGC 6.0, the 2020 average, $1,500. The 90-day is $3,500, with 2021's average being $3,800.
The 8.0 had a $2,500 average in 2020. 90-day average puts it at $5,500, and all of 2021 puts it an average of 6,000 bones.
But the 9.8, averaging $15,000 in 2020. The 90-day average now $40,000, and 2021's average $45,000.
That 9.8 is a $15,000 difference in average when comparing to the second highest sale that took place. Clearly, there are factors that need to be considered, but this book is piping hot regardless. Next at the list, at number 6, Fantastic Four 48, the first appearance of the Silver Surfer.
I personally have friends hoarding this book. Silver Surfer, Galactus, they gotta make it on the big screen the right way in the MCU.
James Gunn teasing that he's going to be introducing Marvel's biggest superhero next year during a holiday special. Many believe it's going to be Silver Surfer. Regardless, we know Fantastic Four, the first Marvel family, is on their way. Galactus is inbound. Everyone needs to prepare. And the 9.2 average sale in 2020 for this monster key book was $7,000. Well, the average for 2021, $15,500.
But the CGC 9.6 averaged $20,000 in 2020, and now 2021 average, bringing it to $38,000.
And then we have the 9.8 selling for $37,200 in 2018, up 184% this year with an all-new high of $108,000.
All right, guys, moving on to number 5, but sticking with mutants, we have X-Men number 4, but not because of the X-Men, because it's the first appearance of Scarlet Witch, and WandaVision had collectors going crazy in 2021.
This book defines the introduction of Disney Plus to the comic collector market and what that meant for collectibles going forward, making our Hot 10 list a total of 10 times, and really all at the first half of the year.
And this isn't the only book that show influenced collectors to buy, but we're going to stick with this one for now. And we're going to start by looking at a CGC 4.0. It averaged just $850 in 2020, and it's up now 194%, averaging $2,500 at the end of 2021.
The 8.5 had an average sale in 2020 of $4,000. That's up 188%, averaging $11,500.
We actually had an $11,000 sale for the CGC 9.2 in July of 2020, and that's up now 82%, most recently selling for $20,000.
The 9.6 record was set back in 2014, selling for $14,340. We have a new record set in 2021, up 317%, selling for $59,777. Next at the list, at number 4, more Mutant Madness, Incredible Hulk, issue number 181, the first full appearance of Logan, our favorite superhero from Canada. We have the Wolverine.
It made the Hot 10 11 times last year, and for good reason. Hulk 181 is one of those books that always goes up in value regardless of what's going on in outside media. But add to the fact that the mutants are coming to the MCU, you know Hulk 181 was on fire.
The 9.4 of Hulk 181 back in 2020, over the course of 23 sales, averaged a price of $9,000. In 2021, 12 different sales, averaging $19,000.
There were 13 copies in a 9.6 that sold in 2020, averaging $14,000. In 2021, we had 14 sales, averaging $27,000.
But let's demonstrate the height of the market this past year. We had, between 2018 and 2020, the 9.8 selling for an average of $25,000 to $35,000. Well, we had 4 9.8 publicly recorded sales that took place in 2021, averaging $70,000, with the two highest sales being $84,000 and $87,330. That's an increase of over $45,000.
Moving on to number 3 on the list, this is a book that we actually made a video talking about how undervalued it was. And here it is, number 3, mentioned 11 times last year, Daredevil Issue One.
First appearance of Matt Murdock, Daredevil, Foggy Nelson, Karen Page, and across the grades 9.4, 9.2, and 9.0 selling for 2x what they have ever gone for in prior years. We have a 9.6 that we hadn't seen come to market since 2016, selling for $36,500, while the first sale came back in January 2021, selling for $102,000, then followed up by the new April high, selling for $150,000 even.
Then we have the CGC 9.8 with no prior recorded sales, selling for $250,000.
And that 9.8 sale happened in March. That's why we saw just a month later, in as little as 3 months, the 9.6 spike nearly $50,000. That's why you have to hit the subscribe button, Comic Fam, because we're covering this market by the week, and you have to be quick. Next at the list at number 2, we have Werewolf by Night 32.
Also mentioned 11 times on last year's Hot 10, and for good reason. Moon Knight has his own show coming. He's going to be showing up on Disney Plus soon. We got the first little trailer, and we're all kind of dying for more.
Oscar Isaac coming to Disney Plus, spiking all kinds of Moon Knight keys, making Werewolf by Night 32 the second hottest comic book in all of 2021. We have a 9.4 back in 2020, over 17 sales, averaging $3,500. Well, the record was shattered. We had 9 different sales back in 2021, selling for $12,000 on average.
The CGC 9.6 had 5 sales back in 2020, averaging $10,000. They had 5 sales in 2021 as well, but now we're averaging $18,000.
And then we got the 9.8 back in March 2020, selling for $31,200, an increase of 104% in 2021. All new high being set for $63,500. Hot damn! Comic fam, hit the like, slap the subscribe, comment down below. Courtesy of Shattered Comics, we have a Matt Damasi 9.8 signed and with Venom sketch that you can win. A Venom first host, first appearance of Telcar.
Like this video, we're going for 1,000 likes as I introduce the hottest comic book of 2021, and it's so good to see him on this list, X-Men issue number 1.
The hottest collectible comic in the entire year, which is all about mutant spec and mutants covering this list as well. The comics defining this generation of collectors, yes, we had a nice mix, but mutants easily took over.
This is a blue chip key either way, but the fact that we know mutants are coming, it's such a safe bet. It was mentioned 12 times in 2021, and for good reason. The CGC 2.0 averaged 4,700 based on 13 sales in 2020. Based on 10 sales in 2021, it's up 87%, averaging 8,800.
The 3.0 average back in 2020 was 5,000 across 9 different sales. In 2021, we had 17 sales, nearly doubling up in market movement, an increase of 150%, a new average of 12,500.
The 8.0 was averaging 30 grand in 2019. Come September through November of 2021, up 200%, averaging 90 grand.
The 9.2 record breaker set in 2020 was for $134,000. That's an increase of 87%, with the new high sale being set in September of 2021, selling for $250,000, $250,000.
Put it like this, the 9.2s are selling for what the 9.6s used to go for about 10 years ago.
You're right, Jem. The $250,000 sale was the average back 10 years ago, but June of 2021, we saw a 9.6 record breaker happen, an increase of 220% selling for the first time in comic history, $807,300. Comic fam, history's been made across the board, and I am so grateful and humbled that you've been with us here every week as we report on it. We appreciate your time today, and as always,
have a happy new year, geek responsibly, and stay minty fresh.
Enough said. Comic fam, every single Wednesday you can join myself, Jem Mint, and so many other amazing dealers in the comic book market on Whatnot, the best new app to buy and sell collectibles. We do 60-second dollar star auctions with hot books, and you don't want to miss out. Support what we do, link in the description, and also enjoy these other videos. We made them for you. Pick either one. I think you'll like them, and have a happy new year.